Hi, I'm Grandpa Gary, and I just got here, and today we got a viewer's request. They asked me to get the SR22T here, and so now I have the Cirrus. I have flown it on the channel, I believe, one other time. A friend of mine down in Dayton allowed me to use his plane, but as we all know, you're a little bit safer than normal when flying someone else's stuff. So now I own this. And so we'll see how it handles. Let's get this thing in the air and do my best. All right, guys, the wind's coming out of the east, so I'm on the main drive here coming in the lot, and plus we got a bunch of cars in the back, so we're gonna fly over the tall grass. And this is a maiden flight, of course. We are flying on 4S 3200 milliamp hour smart pack by Spectrum. I do have flaps set up, and I set it up per the manual, including high and low rates. I am in high rates right now. Low rates are 70%, and 10% expo on high, 5% on low. There's a little bit of elevator mixed in with the flaps. Please look at the manual to get it right. I don't have that one memorized. You do have to adjust the front wheel linkage at the servo to get it nice and straight. Everything else out of the box seemed to be really straight. You do want to make sure of that before trying to trim an airplane. That's the second part of this video. Somebody asked me about trimming. Now we do have a little bit of wind, so it might be a little tricky, but I don't think it's going to be too bad. I have not selected safe. It is not active on this model because of wanting to show how to do the trim. If you have safe on, it levels the plane for you, so it kind of messes that all up. But I know there's a way to do it where you leave a sticks go after adjusting the trim and all that kind of stuff, but we're going to do it with no safe. Going to be much quicker and easier to tell if it's working right. Let's get this thing in the air and see how it does. Okay, throttle cut off. No flaps on this takeoff since we got a breeze coming out of the east. I am adjusting a little bit to the right. Ooh, she jumped up in the air. So high rates has a lot of control. Again, this is a maiden with a little wind, about half throttle. And what we want to see here, I'm going to pitch the nose up just a little bit, let go of the sticks. And she's not rolling, so no trim needed on the ailerons. If it was rolling, and I'll simulate that here in a second. I get it back into the wind here. All right, if you let go of the sticks, and you want to do this a little bit higher, obviously. If you let go of the sticks and it starts rolling like that, you want to adjust your aileron to the left, and vice versa. If it's rolling like that, you want to adjust the aileron to the right. All right. And there is a very technical way of doing all this, but this is how I do it. It's kind of speedy. You're gonna, for elevator, I'm gonna pitch that nose up into the air about a 45 degree and see if it holds it with just a little bit of drop off there. So not bad at all. And this next part's the tricky part. I'm gonna pick up my speed a little bit because you want to do the next part inverted. So we're going to pick up a little bit of speed. We're going to roll it upside down. And then you want to get it in that 45 degree up. Let go of the stick, and the arch looks exactly the same as upright, so no adjustments needed. Now I will attempt to simulate if it needs trim. So, all right, we're coming in. And I did it a little over half throttle there, so that is important too. If you're full throttle, hopefully it's going to hold it. But if you go like this and you let go of the stick and it goes up like that, you're going to want to give it some down trim probably. And vice versa, the same thing. If you got it inverted and it curls up, then you want to give it, you're going to want to give it some down or up trim, sorry. So how to know if the rudder needs adjusted. So for me, mostly when you're flying into the wind like this, you'll notice, or if you're no wind, you'll notice it wanting to look fishtailed, like the rudder is off center. It's not flying straight into the wind without rolling. Another way is to take it up into the stall, and if it's like turning, I had messed that up pretty bad. So we'll turn this back around again. And I might not be able to do it so much with this airplane, but if you're going up and it's turning like this, then you're going to want to give it some right rudder, and vice versa. If it curls to the right, you want to give it some left rudder. But if you got it centered up before takeoff, you're probably going to be okay with the rudder. Rudder is usually not the problem. It's going to be aileron and elevator. And by the way, this airplane's flying really, really good, and straight out of the box it needed no trim. And high rates has a lot of authority. We're up a little bit in the air. All right, low. I'm on low rates, half throttle coming through, and we got plenty of control here. I feel like I got the ability to really, yeah, see, that was a nice climb. For most scale airplanes, that's going to be plenty of authority for elevator, and the response time is plenty fast. In fact, I wouldn't be afraid to land this in low rates. Now, if you're using safe, you might still want to have high rates on. Often, it seems like when you're in safe, response isn't near quick enough for most people. Slowing it down, looking at the approach with this wind, and like I said, I don't have safe on. I can't turn it on. It's not enabled. So my 5-minute timer's coming on. This does have telemetry, so I'm hoping that we can look at the battery. And I was gonna look at using the flaps, but boy, that was a pretty landing. I've noticed that when it's rolling, I'm having to adjust to the right, so I don't have my front wheel exactly straight. And it should turn to the left much easier. It looks like it does. Taxi it back just a little bit here because we're going to take off that direction again. But I want to see how much battery is left. And boy, I don't know if you guys can see it, but those lights on the wingtips are pretty cool. Those are landing lights. They're clear. And then it's got the strobing navigation lights on the wingtips. A clear and a red on this wingtip, and then the other side has a clear and a green. Also flashing the clear on that end. It also has an in-cabin light that looks pretty cool. Alright, throttle cut on. We're going to look at our battery voltage. I'm exactly 5 minutes. And you guys might not be able to see it, but it's telling me I got 60% battery left. So we're going to take it back up. Looks like the sun went behind the cloud. Thank goodness. Throttle cut off. We'll go one click on the flap for this takeoff. Giving a little bit of right. And I'm still in low rates. Turning the flaps off. About half throttle still. This thing is with the and I didn't check CG. Well, that's brilliant, Gary. But I'm perfect on the tray. You can tell it's flying really good. Nice slow pass, and that's with the flaps off. Just enough breeze today to really slow it down. Again, remembering when you fly by that slow, when you make that turn, you need to accelerate, because you lose all your air speed over the wing when you turn with the wind. This thing is flying really cool, and when you get the shadow, it makes it look really scale. Taking those turns pretty hard for a scale look, but you know, because they're not going to bank those wings quite that much. Probably more like that, and less elevator. Obviously, they got a ball they can look at on the on the display, but I'm just doing it from the sticks here, visually, of course. It's a great flying airplane, guys. So I'm looking forward to doing another video with this airplane. I'm sure this airplane, often with an airplane that's scale, I like to fly at scale, but this one I've told myself, hey, I'm sure there's plenty of videos of scale flights with the SR22T out there. Let's get a video where I do everything that I'm capable of doing with RC planes. Let's see if we can do it with this airplane. So again, I was at 60% battery. Timer is now off, so I don't know where I'm at on my timer. I will get set up for a low voltage alarm, but it's not set up right now. Nice lazy roll into a curl back. But as far as scale flying, this thing does pretty good, and it flies great. I mean, if you're looking for a tricycle prop scale commuter type plane, this is a pretty good one. And of course, like always, I'll have this item linked in the description box for you guys to be able to click on it if you're interested. This red scheme really pops in the sky. We're going to go on around because the wind was blowing it kind of weird. Now if I had safe on, it would have corrected for all that and I wouldn't even notice, but since I'm flying this straight on the stick, I do have, obviously AS3X is probably on, but taking off again, a little touch and go. And then on this landing, we'll go full flaps and see what happens. With all this wind, it's probably going to want to take off again, but I'm going to try to keep the throttle on a little bit. As I've explained in the past here, I've been pretty bad about, oh man, making me look better than I am. This thing, its landings are pretty easy. I'm pretty impressed with the landings. So I will be trying to get some potentially some wheelie landings with this soon. The more experience I get, I could see me trying to keep it on the mains and keep the front nose wheel up off the ground. And potentially some one wheel passes. We'll have to see. But that's much easier with a tail dragger. One thing this airplane's got that's really cool, and it's a few of their airplanes now with E-flite, they've put some decoration on that front prop. It makes it look a little more cool. I do appreciate that. I love the scale features of the scale plane. I don't have any of the antennas or the steps or any of that kind of stuff assembled on here yet. Wanted to get the the maiden flight done for you guys. Let's see where we're at now. Now I'm showing 20% on the battery, and let's see how far over. I'm 341 over my 5-minute timer, so we're almost to 9 minutes. 20% battery left with the 4S 3200 milliamp hour battery. That's a pretty good flight time, and I'm sure it could last a little longer if you're just flying scale, nice smooth laps with a little bit of altitude where you're not trying to punch out of low approaches and that kind of thing. Probably not unreasonable to get at least 10 minutes out of a flight with this airplane with the 4S 3200. So guys, I'm happy to be out here flying the SR22T from E-flite. Thank you for suggesting this airplane. It flies great. I can't wait to get it out here and fly it again for you guys. Hopefully I explained how to trim the airplane. Remember, it's important to have those flight surfaces nice and straight, adjusted properly. Make sure the radio's on and everything when you do that so that they don't move once you turn everything on. Safe, you don't want safe on when trying to trim the airplane. So if you're a beginner, you might want to have somebody else do that for you before you take flight. Build up some experience before trying to do the inverted climb to see if it holds that 45 degree or if it dives, or because that's going to be a little tricky, especially if you're inverted. Excuse me. But yeah, just happy to be out here. Big thanks to the Lord for providing a day that I can get out here and fly. The temperatures have dropped, not too much wind, and you guys are great support. Everybody's been really good about commenting on the videos and hitting that like button and all those things. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe, and I'm going to try to keep the videos coming. Until next time, I'm Grandpa Gary, and I just got here.